John Stuart Mill was an English philosopher in the 1900s. He was born on Rodney Street in the Pentonville area of London. He was the eldest son of the Scottish philosopher James Mill and Harriet Burrow. Mill had a difficult childhood compared to others because he was intentionally kept away from children his own age. His father, a follower of Bentham, had a clear aim to create a genius intellect that would carry on the cause of utilitarianism. Mill was a highly intelligent child. At the age of 3, he was taught Greek. At the age of 8, he began studying Latin and algebra, and was appointed schoolmaster to the younger children of the family. When he was 20, he suffered a nervous breakdown that persuaded him that more was needed in life than a sharp intellect. In 1851, John Stuart Mill married Harriet Taylor. In 1866, Mill became the first person in the history of Parliament to call for women to be given the right to vote after his wife died in 1858. Mill died in 1873 of erysipelas in Avignon, France. The first two chapters of Mill's famous work on liberty discuss the power of society over individuals. He reflects that self-protection is the only time individuals or society as a whole can interfere with individual liberty. In the first chapter of the book, Mill stated that his work would be about social liberty. Social liberty is the society's power over the individual rather than liberty of the will. According to Mill, we first experienced struggle between authority and liberty in ancient Greece, Rome, and England, where liberty meant protection against the tyranny of political rulers. The rulers and their people were always thought to have a hostile relationship. Patriots tried to minimize the leader's power in two ways. One is by gaining immunities called political liberties or rights. The other is by constitutional checks. At first, it was thought that the leader's power should not be limited. However, when an actual democratic republic developed, it was recognized that the people don't rule themselves. Mill writes that the power of public opinion can be more stifling to individuality and dissent than any law could be. He writes that he will argue that the only time individuals or society as a whole can interfere with individual liberty is for self-protection. It is fine to argue with a person about his actions, but not to compel him. Mill states over himself, over his own body and mind, the individual is sovereign. Mill divides the appropriate sphere of human liberty in three categories. First, there is the domain of the conscience and liberty of individual thought and opinion. Second, there is planning one's own life and the liberty of taste and pursuits. Third, there is the liberty to unite with other consenting individuals for any purpose that does not harm others. These liberties reflect the idea that true freedom means pursuing one's own good in one's own way, as long as it does not prevent others from doing the same. Mill describes civilization as a struggle between society and the individual, about which should have control over the individual's actions. Mill sees the world as leaning towards a balance in which society, through laws and public opinion, has far more power over the actions and thoughts of an individual than an individual has over himself. Mill rejects this status, arguing that society should have control over only those actions that directly affect it or those actions that harm some of its members. It is important to note that in rejecting social interference with individual thought and activity, Mill is not just writing about laws, but also about moral reprobation. An individual or group cannot rightly punish a person's behavior by, for example, treating him as an enemy if his actions only affect himself. Mill believes that individuals and society as a whole can improve themselves. Yet while Mill considers progress and civilization to be definite goods, he also expresses concern that with progress comes conformity. Mill said that conformity could undermine further individual and social improvement. Mill explicitly calls his justification of liberty utilitarian. In doing so, he says outright that his defense of liberty will not be based on natural rights. Rather, Mill bases his argument on what is best for mankind, and in doing so suggests that his arguments will show the individual and social benefits of human liberty. For me, I agree that the only time we should interfere in others' liberty is when we need to protect ourselves and the people around us. If there were men such as the suspects of the Boston Marathon, I would tell the authorities to confront them and in the process, disregard their rights. If they were doing something that seems odd, their potential actions can put civilians' lives in danger. Mill's ideas are being used today because our rights as Americans are being protected and respected as long as we don't invade or endanger the rights and the protection of other people. I would highly suggest this philosopher to my peers. Mill's ideas explain why our society's laws work the way they do today. Our government protects our right while simultaneously invading them for our own protection. In order to increase the safety of each individual in the society, we give up our privacy for high security. This is one of the ironic ways our society works.